And you know, you go to the shootout, which that was a whole story in and of itself. We could really unpack that shootout because there were so many twists and turns. But Sophia Smith misses what was essentially a match point where if she had scored, the U.S. would have advanced. So that's devastating right there. But then the other two misses were veterans, Rapinoe and Kelly O'Hara. So, you know, you would have thought the more experienced players would have been able to step up and convert their kicks, but it didn't play out that way.
Yeah, and, you know, these players are in a strange position in the round of 16 and going out. And even in the interviews after the game, you heard, you know, Alyssa Nair talking about, well, we lost the World Cup in inches or millimeters. And yes, because, you know, that VAR moment or that, you know, goal line technology moment that showed that it was over and Rob Stone couldn't find the sliver. The sliver was definitely there, but it was millimeters. But also, to be fair, the U.S. survived against Portugal because of millimeters, because a couple millimeters this way or that way, that goal goes in at the end, and then we're not even talking about a game against Sweden.
The odd thing about that moment with Sweden's winning kick is that the referee's body language seemed to indicate that she wasn't giving a goal because she went like that. And so, but then when the Swedish player started celebrating, then you realize, okay, I guess she did.
By the letter of the laws of the game, she was actually doing what you are supposed to do, in that blowing the whistle to signify that the game is over because the goal went in.
But so I've always said that goal line technology seems to be the only thing that people don't argue. If that's what the technology says, then that's what it is. So you don't think there's any controversy there. If that's what it said, it's a goal.
There's no controversy other than the placement of the technology is done by human beings. But I'm okay with that, because once it's done, then human beings aren't interfering with it. So this can be perpetual. It can just keep going on and say, yeah, but ultimately humans have to be involved in implementing the actual technology.
Do you think that Lena Hurtig, the Swedish player that converted that kick, walked into the dressing room afterwards with a strut, like never a doubt? No problem.
I think she probably has a wry smile on her face.
Frankly, this whole Swedish team, I'm sure they know deep down that this was like a bank robbery.
You know, listen,
no business.
Sing while you're winning, my friend. And we saw the pictures in the locker room, and they get to go through. And, you know, this was number 1 versus number 3 in the world. And again, this is when I go back to ruining the missed opportunities in the group stage, which is why the group stage does matter. This U.S. team backed into the round of 16, and that they showed up finally in the round of 16. Why did it take 3 games for this team to actually show up? We talked about it here, Mosse, that, you know, the question was, is this as good as it gets, or is there this incredible different team that exists behind the scenes that's magically going to appear? Well, that team did surface with some changes here and there that kind of facilitated it. But again, why did we have to wait? If that team had showed up in the first game, maybe you're scoring more goals against Vietnam, and maybe that goal difference is different. Or maybe you win the game against Portugal, or maybe you win the game against the Netherlands. But that team, there wasn't even an inkling that team existed through the group stage. And not until today did we see it. So I guess it did exist. But again, to Vlatko Andonovski, why weren't you able to access that team? Why weren't you able to give us that team during the group stage? Why did it? And maybe it's the criticism that they got. Maybe they heard that noise that they love to talk about, how they are, able to push it away. Maybe they didn't push it away. Maybe it affected them, and they said, we got to get our you-know-what together and go out there. But ultimately, it's a little too little, too late.